What's up? Long time no chat. What's up, YouTube? Okay, we're live on YouTube as well. I'm gonna get started shortly. Just gonna give a couple more folks time to pop on. Otherwise, if you're watching the replay, hey, hello, what's up? I'm doing pretty good. I have been, working on some stuff that I want to share with you all. Some poetry-wise, and then just some new things I've discovered about my self-care practice and what that is looking like for me. And so I thought I'd hop on and share with folks. So I'm going to turn down the music and I'll probably just get started. So for those who have never seen my face before, you don't know who I am or what I do, my name is Ego Diana. I am a poet, a speaker, community arts educator, facilitator, wellness consultant. I own a brand called EGO Initiative. The acronym stands for Ebony Girls Obsession, where I create spaces for Black women in particular and youth to learn more how to prioritize their health and wellness, especially while being in community. And I do so through workshops, live events, retreats, and in my poetry as well. It's very evident, that is the community that I serve. Not to say that no one else matters, but it is to say that I do prioritize Black women in most of what I do. And so that is me. That is who I am and what I do. For folks who are joining me on either platform, I'm on Instagram and YouTube. So you might see me looking up and down, just so you know. Instagram, you're up here. YouTube is down here. And so, yeah, today I really want to share a bit of some new pieces that I've been working on. For those of you who do not know, I've been a poet for going on 11 years now, on and off. I did it semi-professionally in Vancouver, and I moved out here to pursue that as a career, more so in Toronto. But life had a few more lessons for me to learn before that was to happen. And so my journey as a poet looks a little bit differently than most poets, but that is okay. I still love to utilize my gift to be of service to my community. And so that's what I'm gonna keep on doing until I can't no more. So yeah, I have been writing some new pieces since quarantine started and just taking the time to be more intentional about being a student of my craft, so to speak. And so I facilitate a lot of spaces, a lot of creative writing, confidence, self-care, community type workshops. And this past few months, I've been really intentional about being a student myself and working on my craft just for me, and not just like writing commission pieces or thinking of ways to write pieces in a way that I'm educating other people on how to, edit and work on their pieces and whatnot. And so I wanted to share a little bit of that and a little bit of my poetry journey as well, because it ties in with my self-care journey. They kind of go hand in hand. And when I had started really taking my wellness seriously, I realized that I had been documenting my process the whole time by way of poetry. And it's been interesting to see my evolution, what my poetry used to look like beforehand and what it looks like now. And so I'm going to be sharing all of that today. So poetry and writing has been a huge part of my self-care practice. Like I said, when I started writing when I was 13 years old, and I hated it at first. It was actually something that I had to do in the 6th grade. My teacher, she made us write in our journals for 20 minutes after recess it was part of an anti-bullying campaign, which unfortunately I was one of the bullies. And so it was more of a punishment for me when I started writing, and I absolutely hated it up until maybe like the 3rd day. And whatever I was writing in my journal, my teacher was responding to me. And I thought it was actually kind of dope that for the first time in a very long time, an adult was actually paying attention to me and what I had to say. And I thought that was kind of cool. And so that is really where my writing career started, or my writing journey started. And then when I got to high school, I was in speech meets and stuff because I wanted to be very clear about what it was I was writing, because I found that my teacher had a lot of questions for me in my journal, because she would write back to us in the journal. And so I thought, man, there's so many, she has so many questions, and maybe my writing isn't clear enough. And I thought, if I say what I wrote down on the page, it'll be that much clearer for her. And that's essentially how I started getting into poetry. I remember I would sign up for speech meets and I would recite other people's poems. And then I thought, hey, I can write poems. And one of the first pieces that I recited was Maya Angelou's Still I Rise. And then I remember I did Phenomenal Woman. And then I did a speech, a Sojourner Truth speech, and so on and so forth. And every year I would always either win first place or second place. And I was like, oh, this is a thing that I'm good at. So let's see how that goes. And so the first piece I want to share with you all today, it is called For Color Girls. If you have seen me perform before, I've probably included this piece in every single set that I do, because it really encompasses why I write, the journey of my writing practice. I've been editing this poem every single year and adding new things to it. I haven't edited it in a while, to be honest, but it's just, this piece really, if you want to know a little bit deeper of my writing style and why I write and who I write for, this piece says it all, and it's called For Color Girls. It is actually in response to Ntozake Shange's play by the same name, For Color Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Isn't Enough. That's the long version of it. It was a play, and I think Tyler Perry, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, he did a movie based on the play in 2010, and that is when I birthed this poem. So here goes. I've heard stories of girls growing up too fast. I've heard stories of girls who just love to dance. I've heard stories of girls who used to wear virginity like a badge on their chest, and now she's got a baby sucking on her breasts. I've heard stories of girls with hair too wild to tame, skin too brown to deny God put in work the day she was created. Girls with names like Blessing and Magic and Resilience. Do not call us out of our names when you attempt to tell our stories of girls used and abused by the men they love the most. Little girls with very low self-esteem, us girls who've been through hell and back and still live to tell our stories. And I like to listen, so I have heard stories. When I was in the 6th grade, I was called out my name one too many times. Skin like God's brown earth. You shit and sit in the sun too long, you'll get darker. Dark girl, my hair became a landing strip for paper planes or anything else that now absolutely required soaring and landing in my hair. Accents too strong to understand where I come from, I said. Accents too strong to understand where I come from. I am the daughter of my African queen mother and her mother before her. I will raise queens of my daughters and their daughters to come. We are warriors choosing to love ourselves every day, choosing to support our brothers and sisters. Our revolution will be ours to tell, so I will keep telling the stories of girls with so much potential, these girls who will not let petty things hold them back, these girls who study the arts of self-preservation. Girls that break all expectations and against all odds continue to bloom in every season. I will retell the stories about the girls because one way or another they have got to be told, and I believe that every girl has a story to be heard. This is mine. Thanks for the love, y'all. And I see the love. And feel free, if you hear a line that really resonates with you, just type it in the chat, like whatever the line was. I would love to get your feedback in that way. It can be a little weird to perform to your phone, so to speak. So I appreciate the hearts, but definitely if you hear any lines that resonate with you, feel free to type it in the chat on IG and on YouTube as well. Thank you for those who are just tuning in. And so I realized that actually poetry became an unintended beginning of my self-care system, so to speak. A lot of folks, if you have been watching my YouTube videos, I have been talking about self-care systems a lot recently. And just in general, I realized I actually have a systemized way of practicing self-care. Self-care is not just a buzzword or a thing that I do here and there once in a while. It's a part of my daily lifestyle. And so, because I have a particular definition for self-care, which I share on all my platforms all the time, I realized that in retrospect, poetry and writing was probably one of the first examples of me creating a system around my self-care, where things would happen in my life and I would use that as a moment I would use writing and poetry specifically as a moment to kind of flesh out what was happening and the lessons that I might have been missing from it, kind of examining what my feelings were, why I was feeling that type of way, the ways that I responded, was that okay? Did I feel okay with that? Did I learn something from the interaction? And so my poetry has always been that sort of like space for me to explore what is going on in my life and really take the time to understand myself a little bit better. And so that was probably one of my unintended self-care systems that I set up. And so things would happen, I would reflect on it. I was journaling every single day, and then I would turn it into a poem, so to speak, so that, once I learned a lesson, I was transferring it to the next person or whoever on stage I was performing, whoever it resonated with. And I was hoping that they would take some of those lessons as well and apply it to their lives. And so this next piece is more kind of community centered along that breath. It's, when I was younger and I would practice self-care, folks usually thought that I was being selfish because I was kind of like off to the side by myself, trying to figure things out, trying to learn myself first so I can present it and bring it back to the community so I could be a better daughter, sister, friend. I say that all the time. And so this piece called Take Good Care, it was actually a prompt that got me thinking about what care looked like personally and to be in community as well. And so here goes. This is one of my newer pieces, and so I might be looking a little bit down for reference. So this is called Take Good Care. Care looks like my cup runneth over. Flow like the feminine I was designed to be. Sounds like long sighs of bliss and joy. A home we built on solid foundation and fertile ground to birth nations to bloom where we are planted. And in every season, care smells like fried plantains. Just ripe enough to somersault your taste buds, feels like warm honey and shea butter moisturized skin. Care tastes like I've been here before. Familiar, like my ancestors' prophecies, blessed to be chosen but cursed in disobedience. Care is like a prayer for repentance, for evolution, like who my whole self is becoming, a manifestation of my creator, made in his image, so call me by my whole name. Care is real light. Care is revolution and our rights to take care. My people, take care, take care, take good care. So that's a shorter piece, and most of the pieces from here on out are going to be a little bit more shorter, but I just want to be able to share some snippets of what I've been writing recently. And so that is one of those pieces that I really, really enjoy, and speaks about what community care is looking like for me now, because that's a question that I get a lot of the time. What about community? What about your loved ones? What about your family? When you bring up the conversation of self-care, that's usually the first thing that people think about. And so, yeah, so this next piece is called Boaz, and just going into more of my self-care journey now. I've been thinking about how my poetry has evolved, just as my self-care has evolved. When I was younger, I was obviously not communicating my boundaries well enough. I was not explaining to people. I didn't really understand my emotions or my feelings, so I couldn't communicate them to other people when I was feeling some type of way, so to speak. And so that, resulted in a lot of toxicity. But also with my poetry, I wasn't coming from a space of authenticity at some points, because I started my poetry journey in slam in the slam world. So I used to compete every Monday night, almost every Monday night in Vancouver in poetry slams, which is just like a competition. And so I found myself writing poetry just for the slams. And a lot of my poetry back then had a lot of sexual innuendos because I thought that's what people wanted to hear, or that it would be more easier for people to, kind of pay more attention to, or to resonate. It would resonate better with them. And so that's what I started writing. But now, as I've gotten older, my poems have evolved into me just being more understanding of who I am, and some of the spaces where I needed to grow. And so that's what that looks like. And this piece I want to share is me thinking about what the waiting process looks like when I am, when you're waiting for that like significant other, or to be in relationship, and what that looks like. You're waiting for your soulmates or whatever, your partner, and what that waiting process can look like. And so, this piece is called Boaz. If you are someone who reads the Bible, then some of these things might resonate with you. So I've lost count the amount of times I find myself praying for you. Made a covenant with my eyes and said I'd wait for you, even though genetics always seemed to remind me that I never quite saw holy matrimony. Terrified that I'd step out on you and not on faith. Inherited generational curses I haven't outprayed. Afraid to get lost in the richness of your midnight skin, because like Solomon, you be black and comely, but not quite king. Yet, I try not to lust for you, but surrender to the will of God for you, and I will find our way back to each other every lifetime. But in the meantime, I treat my body like temple. Won't let no other gods inside me take stewardship of my gift. Let the word be my muse whenever my heart sounds like palms over drum skins. I make a covenant with my mind to meditate on our kingdom come, and instead take heed to my Naomi. Learn from elder mothers and sisters what to do and not to do, because good conversation and obedience positions me in a field for you to find me. And it'll take a few generations and a whole lot of patience to birth wise kings and the Prince of Peace. So I'll wait and treat this body like temple till you find me prepared and in position. It took a few years, but I know I'm the gift. Been making room for our legacy, but if my tone ever changes, you set the pace. And I'll keep waiting with patience to dedicate this holy temple. So that is that on that. That's been my first quote unquote love poem, so to speak. And that really is just me talking to myself and thinking about what the waiting process looks like in terms of what patience also looks like in waiting for my ideal partner. And so, that's what that was about. And so the last point I want to touch on, like I said earlier, is being a student of my craft all over again, but not all over again, but consistently. As I said, I facilitate a lot of space around creative writing and self-care, just as a facilitator, as my quote unquote 9 to 5. And I found that sometimes I don't always have time for me to write pieces just for me that was outside of me writing for a show or an event or for a workshop series. And so I have been a participant in a lot of workshops lately, and I've been really enjoying the pieces that I've been coming up with. And so I'm going to share 3 short pieces with you all that have I've stepped outside of my comfort zone with what my writing looks like. And so, this first one, I don't really have a title for it, but it's my attempt at a funny piece, just to infuse a little bit of more humor intentionally into my poems. And this piece was just about space in general. And so, here goes. It's funny how raccoons have the entirety of my deck. It's funny how raccoons have the entirety of my deck to defecate on, but they choose to do so right in front of my door, like they're marking their territory of the extension of my home. I think it's funny the amount of times people fix their lips to mispronounce my name when they see those 2 consonants together, yet can pronounce the first 3 letters of ghost with ease. I think ghosting people is mad funny. That you could be so scared or insensitive to others' feelings that disappearing from their lives is easier than having that conversation. And it's even funnier that knowing all this, I still do it too. I think it's funny how knowledge and information often gets misconstrued, and even I, who be knowing a few things, know I know not a damn thing at all. It's funny how the story of Cain and Abel could make solid metaphors and multiple entendres, but I still ain't found a sister's keeper. So that's like, I packed a lot of, entendres in there, and if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, just let it go over you. That's cool. This next piece is called Miles Apart. It's also really super short, and it just talks about the different ways that you can be in community with people. You can be in a family, and you have different love languages. And love can look very different coming from different people. And so here goes. My family loves big, the kind of big that is miles apart. We couldn't walk in each other's shoes or even see eye to eye at times. Still, we learn to walk and love on different paths. We love in our own language, speak in our native tongue the same way we always have. But it's never about the words spoken. Our love shows up in between the let me show you what I've created, or I'm coming home for a few days, remind me what our address is, and look what I've sacrificed for you. It shows up when leaving feels like the only option, but coming home is always a celebration. My family loves miles apart, learning to walk in love on different paths. So that is that on that. I thought that was an interesting piece, and I'm definitely going to I have fleshed these pieces out, some of them, and some of them I'm going to leave as is, but in a larger collective. But I just want to, again, share a few snippets of what these pieces are looking like. But I thought that it was interesting to talk about stuff like that, because my definition of love has definitely changed over the years, and especially now that I have been a little bit more intentional about getting back to the scriptures and reading what that looks like, and just redefining a lot of things for myself according to the scriptures. And I definitely have a different definition of love, and I'm sure that my family, like my sisters and my father and my parents, have a different definition of love now that we have gotten older and we have literally drifted apart. We all live in different cities, countries, states, and things of that nature. And so, yeah. This last piece is called Where I'm From. It's also a really, really short one, and it was a prompt from one of the spaces that I'm a participant in, which I really, really love, that I get to be a student, as I mentioned. And so here goes. I come from purpose and power, words that literally formed me. I come from the intention to make man good. I am present. I am the gift. I come from purpose and power. I come from the greatest. My people are the salt of the earth, sweet savor, kin to my savior. I come from royalty. Loyalty runs through my DNA. I come from woolly hair and burnt brass skin. I come from love and obedience, much better than sacrifice. I come from confidence in my creator. I come from time before and time to come. I come from intention and practice. I come from purpose and power. Yeah, so that was that last piece. Thank you all for joining me. Those of you who are live with me the entire time, I appreciate you. Appreciate your energy. For those of you who are going to be tuning in and catching the replay, probably on YouTube, because I'm not gonna post this on Instagram, I don't think. We'll see about that. But yeah, thank you for tuning in with me live. Thank you for sharing space with me. If you have any questions or any comments about the pieces, feel free to send them in to me. Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate that. And if you'd like to connect with me further and share virtual space with me, there are 4 ways you can reach out to me and connect with me. You could schedule a one-on-one strategy session with me in terms of self-care and what your life looks like right now, how self-care can look like in your daily lifestyle. I'd be more than happy to support you with that. Or you can join me for a free workshop every Thursday with my Black collective, my Speak Black fam. We host workshops on Thursdays at 5 p.m. You could definitely hit us up on our Instagram and we'll send you the link to it. It's on Google Meets. Every Thursday, like I said, free workshop, and it's a space for you to work on your creativity. I believe that everyone has the ability to be creative within them, and a lot of the times we have, not been given the space and the freedom to nurture our inner creative artist child. And so that is really what we work on in that space on Thursdays. And we play lots of fun games, again, that are super creative and help you get your creative juices flowing. And so that is what we do. So you can connect with me that way. The other way you can connect with me is through my Prioritizing Your Wellness course. Hi, Cody. Hey, what's up? You can connect with me through my Prioritizing Your Wellness course. It is kind of like a self-care 101 type course. Again, it's for folks who are caregivers. You know, you're thinking about what self-care can look like while you are in community and supporting loved ones and things of that nature, and helping you reprioritize your wellness so that you can be your best self and show up for your people without sacrificing your health. And then the last way is through my YouTube channel, where I give you free game every Wednesday and Sunday. And so you could definitely hit me up in those ways. If you're on Instagram, you can find the details for all of those things in the link in my bio. I have a link tree, so all of those things are linked there. And then on YouTube, I'm going to add all the details in the description box below. So yes, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Cody. I appreciate that. I appreciate you all for tuning in live with me. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. Peace and love.